really like the work our players have put in this last off season. Our staff's excited about a new energy. We've made some changes on our staff. We got new players coming in, and we can't wait to kick off on Thursday.
Any surprises as far as people who are going to be here and not be here, or we find that out tomorrow?
Well, we know right now there's a couple of young men that we signed back during the signing period that won't be here immediately. We've got a couple of guys. Bryson's not going to be here until school starts. A.J. Greeley's going to be delaying his entrance until January. He's going to continue to take the SAT or ACT class and hopefully get his score up for that. And then Kenyon Woods is not going to be going to us. He'll be going to a junior college.
All in all, it's a pretty good success rate for the rest of the guys being here, and two of those three are still going to be part of the program. So.
Correct. There's some new NCAA rules this year that are going to allow for what's called as an academic red shirt, and that's what we think Bryson's going to fill into that category, and we're still going through that process right now.
What's the biggest thing you're looking for tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow I'm hoping everybody shows up. For Thursday, I'm looking to see how is our team going to compare to that 15th day of spring practice. What strides have we made? I know our guys have put in tremendous work this summer. How are we going to come together? We're not going to have a big number of name guys out there, but I still feel strongly that we're going to have a team that's going to compete for a championship.
Any questions for Coach?
Tim, what game position battles or units specifically you're looking forward to?
We're going to have them everywhere. And that's what's exciting about this fall camp, was really exciting about our spring practice. For probably the first time since we've been here, we've had multiple position groupings where we've got some depth, where there's a true competition, where it wasn't just an older guy with talent and a young guy where there was not a real push for competition. We've got quite a few spots that's going to be the case. I think the big thing I took away was that I think our league race is going to be wide open. There's a lot of coaches that are in similar situations that we are. We're still looking for quarterbacks. I know up in Boise they've got a terrific team coming back, but they're looking for a quarterback. San Diego State's got a new one that came in, I believe, in the springtime, but he hasn't played for them just yet, so there's some questions there. Nevada, talking with Coach Polian, they had a 4-year starter in Cody. In fact, I saw him up yesterday at Raider camp with Derek. When you replace those guys that are headliners for you for so long, those are difficult things to do. Garrett, Gilbertson over at CSU's got to be replaced. One guy who is coming back is Chucky Keaton. So we know what he's done in the past, and if he's healthy, he's as good a player as there is in this league. But I think there's a tremendous depth in our league. There's a bunch of coaches and a bunch of players out there that are saying, hey, why not us? Let's go out and play. Mm-hmm.
How big of a difference can that make, particularly on the offensive side of the ball?
Well, it's the name of the game. It's why you run a spread offense, is to isolate speed, in space and in good matchups. I think we've got a lot of younger players that we redshirted a year ago. We've got some transfer guys coming in that have significantly upped our speed. And the fact that our guys in our program with Coach Bose for another year, they're a little bit stronger, they're a little bit quicker. I look to a guy like Martez Waller, who, I thought, had made terrific gains last year and saw his speed jump from, the year prior. I think he's ready to make another leap, just seeing the way he's worked this summer.
Coach, how did Ford Childress come to be a part of this team?
It's a little bit of a long story, but Ford's family, I've had a relationship with for a while. His brother played for us at Texas A&M with a high school coach where he went to. So when Ford left to go to a junior college, he ended up having a pec injury, which diminished his people looking at him as a recruit. They reached out to us, and because of our relationship with them, we decided to provide him an opportunity to come walk on. with the potential to earn a scholarship. He's a guy who started games as a freshman in the Big 12 at West Virginia. He's a big, good-looking kid that has a live arm. There was a reason he was a 4-star quarterback coming out of high school. And we thought, it fit right. I know the family. I know the kind of character they have, and I thought he'd have a chance to come here and compete. I really liked where we were coming out of spring with our 3 quarterbacks. I thought they all competed real well. So to be frank with you, we weren't looking for a transfer, where a year ago we were looking for someone to come in and add to the competitive mix. But when you have someone with his talent level and having our background with him, I don't think it hurts to bring more competition in, and he's willing to do it and prove himself.
So how do you view the quarterback competition? Is it a 4-man race where everybody is on equal ground right now?
Well, we're still working through academics with Ford, so he may miss the first couple days. He's got some classwork that he's got to, meet the NCAA requirements with as far as percentage of graduation, because not all classes transfer, so we're kind of working through that a little bit. But once he gets out there, if he's there in time, absolutely, he's going to get reps, and we're going to see what everybody does. He has some measurables. He's probably not quite as athletic as some of our younger guys that are here on campus now. They have the advantage of knowing our system, which he doesn't. He's got the advantage of actually playing in games.
Every team takes on a different personality and a different tone. With practice starting this week and a bunch of guys in position battles, what are you hoping the tone is as you get started?
Well, each year that plays out. I really like the maturity of this year's group. I think we've got a little bit more of a blue-collar, workman-like attitude out of our team this year. I think that's set by our 6 accountability captains. I think they've done a terrific job of leading these new young guys that this is how we do things. We're going to start off the season with a bunch of young guys that no one's going to know their names, and hopefully by the end of the season, people are going to know who they are.
Kind of on that same note, I mean, the last couple of seasons, obviously, you guys have lost a lot of big name players.
Mm-hmm.
Like Derek McFonte last year, Josh being gone, Deron. Not only were they great players, but they were good locker room guys,
Mm-hmm.
guys that people look up to and team leaders on the field. Who are you hoping can step into those kind of roles this year?
We've already established our 6 accountability captains, and those guys have, I think, done a terrific job. On offense, you're looking at Bo Bonheim, who I think is doing a really nice job. Malik Meisenheimer, who's a 5th-year guy who's had some injuries, but he leads by example and is very well respected in our locker room. We've got 2 specialists in Garrett Swanson and Derek Detweiler that do a terrific job. I mean, these guys embrace being football players, not specialists, and I think that has resonated through our team. And they set a tone for all the specialists. And then on defense with Kyrie doing a real nice job. He's not a real vocal guy, but again, guys look up to him. And then Todd Hunt. We've got guys in each area that have really done a nice job of setting the tone and setting the standard.
Coach, what's your plan at running back this season with the addition of Garrison? Is Waller still going to be the workhorse and get the bulk of the carries?
Well, yeah, we anticipate that's going to be the case. I thought Martez had a terrific year last year, ran for over 1,400 yards. But as we saw in the San Jose State game, at some point, you keep handing the ball to the same guy and he keeps taking shots, you're going to be susceptible to injury. So you've got to have a viable, number 2 and a lot of times number 3. Having Malik back healthy, he's going to have a crack at that. But bringing Dustin in, here's another guy who's played games in the Big 12 for a number of years. He graduated from West Virginia, and he's going to have a chance to come in and compete. So we're going to have the opportunity to maybe do some multiple back sets. We're going to have 2 backs in the backfield, whether it's Dustin and Martez, whether it's Martez and Malik. We'll have Malik as a 3rd down back, and then we'll see. I think Dustin's skill set. He's a multiple use guy. He could play some slot potentially.
How do you approach the season versus last season when you opened with 3 heavyweights, and this year it's a little bit easier with Abilene Christian versus USC?
Well, I don't want to downplay Abilene Christian. We think they're a terrific football club, but they aren't USC. I'm hoping that our guys don't look at our opponent and say, hey, we need to work this hard or this hard, depending on who we play. We've got to set a standard for our own team and go play to that. Home, playing in Bulldog Stadium where we're 17-2 the last 3 years obviously gives our guys a boost. And I think anytime you can start the season with the win, have some momentum, ideal situation, get some guys some confidence, especially some new guys that'll be starting for us. It's a lot easier than maybe going on the road to a Power 5 school and with a young team trying to get some confidence. Tommy?
Coach, real quick, Charles Washington's really excited to have the ability to possibly play corner the entire season. If you're able to slot him there, what does that mean for your secondary, your defense, if you're able to keep Charles?
Well, as you go through your offseason cut-ups and stats and you realize, at times we played pretty good defense last year, but our biggest, area of need was consistency at corner. We ended up playing a true freshman there last year, and consistency for any freshman is difficult. We had to, switch Charles from safety to corner, and while he was a team guy, did that for us. He played well at corner, but not as well as he could have if he'd concentrated on that the whole time. I think he's a little bit relieved that he's got a chance to just focus on that. I think he can be one of the best corners in our conference when given the opportunity that he's just going to play corner. So if we can have one side solidified, we'll have good competition on the other, and we'll see how it plays out.
And with the amount of starts that he has, is it able for him to maybe focus on other things like leadership roles or something?
I would like to think so. I think he's probably taken a backseat a little bit to Duran. Duran took a lot of the air in the room up, not forcefully, just guys look to him as the guy because he's played so long and played so well. I think Charles looks at this as his opportunity now, especially in the back row, to step up. I know Shannon Edwards wants to do the same thing. When you have seniors, it's your last go round. You want to set the tone that, hey, this is the standard for our group. I don't want to leave here on a down note. I want to leave here raising this football program to where it should be.
Coach, is there a young guy who performed well last year, Chad Olson, Malcolm Washington, that you're looking specifically to make big strides going into year 2?
Well, I think certainly those two guys we anticipate a big-time improvement from. When you play as true freshmen, you haven't been through a Division I training program, I think Chad's gained 20 pounds since last year. Malcolm hasn't gained that much, but just the experience of being out there. The second time you go out, it is so much different. It was a long time ago, but I can remember when I was a player, that first time I went out, you're just so nervous about making a mistake that you can't play natural football unless you're just a really natural football player, and I wasn't. Most guys I coach, that first time they go out, they're just anxious. But to see these guys come back, feel comfortable about what they do, I think they'll definitely play at another level.
To know the way that last season ended, is that a simple message to express to the team that 6-8 isn't acceptable, losing the last 2 games isn't acceptable?
Absolutely. There was a lot of things I thought our team did well last year. Having the 0-3 start where we didn't compete very well, but still managing to go to a bowl game and win our division, playing the championship game. I was proud of that. But certainly that last one left a bad taste in our mouth, and our guys were quite frankly embarrassed by it, and I know our coaches were. I think it kind of fueled our guys in the off season.
What's the most encouraging thing you've heard through the grapevine about summer workouts and what's been happening out there?
Well, Coach Bozay has been here all summer. We've had coaches roll in and out. He's really been excited about just the work ethic of this group. This group doesn't have bad days. The older guys are setting the standard. The younger guys are having to figure it out. And he likes the mental edge that our guys are going to have this fall.
Any final questions for Coach? Last season, one of the bigger problems on defense was getting off the field on 3rd down and the big explosive play. With the addition of Ricky Manning to the coaching staff in the secondary, what do you hope he can bring to your program?
Well, I'll tell you, I really liked what Ricky got accomplished in spring ball. He's really started establishing some relationships with our players. He brings a great energy to practice. You can't get into a lull. Young players, they get out in a 2-hour practice. They'll be focused and they'll go down. They'll be focused, they'll go down. Ricky won't allow them to. He is constantly on. He's a detail-oriented coach, and I think he's going to do a really nice job help develop our young players, both technique-wise and just mental toughness-wise.
You mentioned that you were at Raiders camp yesterday. Coach Wade is also doing an internship there as well, right? So the relationship between the Raiders and the Bulldogs, we know they had a ton of Fresno State guys up there. Can you just talk a little bit
Yeah, that was fun. Joe got an opportunity. I think this is his second or third opportunity to do an internship with the Raiders. They're a terrific organization. I know a lot of our fan base are also Raider fans. Uh, it's just fun to see Derek in his progress from a year ago as a second round rookie, trying to earn a position, trying to establish himself, to now he's the guy. And it's clear when you go around that organization, they realize that Derek Carr is their future, and he handles himself, number one, in such a first-class way, but two, he's a terrific leader on the field. He's first one in, last one out. He's been elected by his teammates to their leadership council. He's the complete package. So just really proud of what he's done there. There's also their defensive line coach. Jethro Franklin. We got a chance to see him up there. It's always to see good dogs, that are former players here going out and doing great things. He brings a great energy to their practice level. At some point, maybe we'll have to try to get him here back at Fresno State.
Do you think Harp has a chance to make the team?
I hope so. I thought he competed well yesterday at practice. They've stepped up their competition there, bringing in Amari Cooper and then bringing in Michael Crabtree. Those guys, they're a step ahead of everybody else. So he's got his hands full. Talking with Joe, who had been with him, the entire time at camp. He's done today, but he thought Josh was going to have a chance. But obviously, he's going to have to continue to progress.
With everything now that off the field that Fresno State's trying to accomplish, new athletic director, the approach that everything's going now that you're sort of now blocked into football, are you going to allow yourself to maybe feel any added pressure? Do you feel anything now that you're in the football camp?
I don't think football coaches feel added pressure. You feel pressure all the time. It's season. You got to win, but we don't focus on the winning part of it so much as we focus on the process of teaching our guys how to do things the right way, teaching our guys how to come together as a team. I mean, everybody knows the most talented teams in football don't always win. And, we were fortunate. I thought we had the most talented teams the first couple of years, and we did win. Last year we went down, and we were still able to win a division championship, but we weren't quite together enough. And I think if we were more together, we would have performed better throughout the season. And that's our challenge this year to our coaches and to our players. We've got to become a team that plays the best team football of anybody in our conference.
Coach, last year the Mountain West experimented with 8 officials versus 7. Yesterday they came out saying for this upcoming year they're going to do 8. What's your comments on that? Are you in favor like the rest of the coaches? And then secondly, is there any teams on the top of your head that this might help or hurt as far as offensive substitutions, which is what now the referees are going to be looking at?
I think it's a good idea to bring an 8th official in. I think with the advent of no-huddle offenses like ours, the teams that liberally substitute within their no-huddle, it can be very difficult for an officiating crew to keep up with it. Typically when we go into our faster tempos, we don't sub. We just want to go as fast as we can. So I don't see it affecting us other than allowing us defensively maybe to match up better because they'll have an official that'll be tracking it a little bit closer.
Will it be easier to count 11 men on the field with 8 officials, or will they still need the booth to prove there weren't 12? You talked about Coach Wade, and that's the big move on your staff this year. Coach Wade going to receivers and Antoine going to running backs. Was the way the personnel stacks up a part of that move, the fact that you have so many young guys who are going to see time at those receiver spots this year?
Well, I think it's a little bit of that, but I also think when it's a terrific asset to have continuity on your staff. Guys understand how we practice. Guys understand how we recruit. And we've got some, really good, solid coaches. But sometimes, just tweaking things a little bit sets a different energy. When our players keep hearing from me all the time, they can tend to tune you out. If you hear the same assistant coach all the time, you might tend to tune them out. New guy comes in, you haven't established yourself with that coach yet, so you've got to work a little bit harder. And I think for professional development, having coaches coach different positions makes them strain a little bit and stress a little bit so that they become more rounded coaches. We're doing the same thing with Jordan Peterson, who'd been in the secondary his entire career. We're moving him to linebackers. Again, he's a guy that I think's got great potential as a coach. He's going to have to stretch a little bit in order to, gain some more knowledge about outside linebackers, but he'll be working with Coach Toth, and we'll give Nick an opportunity maybe to walk around and be in the secondary a little bit more.
Cody filling in. How much different do you expect that position to be this year, and how much?
Well, as you saw early on with Cody, when you're a first-time kicker, and especially it really wasn't fair to him. He didn't anticipate ever having to start or play at all that first year, but circumstances were such that we had to call on him. And I liked how he kept battling through, and at the end of the season, he felt much more comfortable, obviously, than early, and hitting the field goal against Boise late. I was really excited for him because I thought that, really sent him to where, he feels like he can compete. He's going to be the starter going in. The one thing that we've talked to Cody about, and we were quite frank when we recruited him and last year, is we think he's got to continue to develop his leg strength. His kickoffs is not where we need it to be. And then his length, his range is still not where we'd like it to be. And he understands that's something that he just needs to continue to develop. But that was the large reason why we wanted to go out and sign Jimmy Camacho. Jimmy's got a big-time leg. Was a junior college All-American down at Riverside. I think he's a guy who can come in right away. And, again, competition is going to drive who's going to be the starter. And, I don't want anybody in our staff, any of our players feel comfortable. We got to continue to improve this thing, and I think Jimmy's going to add that competition.
With Dro coming off the shoulders, what are you looking for in camp to see if he's back to where he was or even beyond where he was?
Well, Edgero's a guy who is a playmaker, and it's very difficult to do when you don't have two shoulders. So I anticipate him just playing at a faster speed. When you're a senior, you're going to be playing your fastest. You understand the game more, and just being a much more productive player. Unfortunately, a year ago, his production was down relative to the year before. Not in large part due to him, but just the circumstances of having both those shoulders. So I know he's chomping at the bit to get after it. We need him to be a productive player for us to be a good defense. We've got to get back to where we're getting 30-plus takeaways. And he's a guy who can produce, a lot of those. So hopefully he'll get back there.
Coach, how important is it to start off the Mountain West playing at San Jose State and at San Diego State? I know all the games matter, but those two are pretty crucial. It's Western Division. The guys know that, the coaching staff know that. It's really important to split at least those two nodes up there.
Our guys are well aware of it, but you're absolutely right. It's critical to get a good start anytime you go into conference play. We can't anticipate losing 3 conference games and be able to win the division. I mean, we got lucky last year. We realize also that when you go on the road, especially in conference, it's very, very difficult. But we've been fortunate the last 3 years, against our 2 in-state rivals. We didn't like the last time we went to San Jose. I know we got quite a few guys on our team that went up there, and I think we'll play with the chip on our shoulders, but we got to play extremely well. They've got a new offensive coordinator now, Borges, who I have a ton of respect for. They've got a lot of starters back on offense, and so we'll see how they progress. I know that's going to always be a challenge when we play San Jose, and then a week later having to go down to San Diego State. They were picked by the media to win our division. So it's going to be a challenge, but after those first 2 weeks, I'm sure we'll know exactly where we're at in this conference.
Coach, do you wish Boise State was on the schedule from a rivalry perspective?
Well, I think our fan base would like to. As a competitor, I always like to play Boise because they bring out the best in you. I thought 2 of our best games last year was playing against them. Unfortunately, they got the best of us. But it is what it is when you're in a conference that has 2 divisions and they're in the opposite. You get a chance to play them potentially. If they win their side, we win our side. And to me, that would be kind of fun.
In terms of confidence for like this fall camp, do you feel is there a difference from last fall camp last year?
I think we came out of spring this year feeling better about ourselves on both sides of the ball. I think a year ago, while obviously there was quarterback questions, we still weren't established at a lot of the skill positions. And I think with the skill we have coming back, the competition, the depth that we have there, it's going to make whoever our quarterback is a lot better earlier just because they're going to have more weapons. A year ago, Chad Olson was a true freshman. It wasn't until about halfway through the season until he established himself, and now he's 20 pounds heavier. He's just more of a guy. We have a lot more of those type of players for our quarterbacks to lean on.
Kind of on that same note, I know the last couple seasons you've been really high on a lot of the young athletic receivers that you've had that haven't really been playing. The younger guys that see some of these athletes that you've been watching?
I'm real fired up. I thought Jameer Jordan had a terrific spring. Keon Williams, they're at the slot. You got to have guys who can match up on safeties or linebackers, make guys miss in space. And, speed-wise, Jameer is an elite level speed guy. That's going to, help us tremendously. Bringing a Josiah Blandon in, a long 6'4" receiver, basketball player who can go up and get it, is going to help us out. Having a guy like Keyshawn Johnson, I think, is going to help us in the mix. We're obviously going to miss Delvon Hardaway early on, and he was probably one of our most talented young guys. He had knee surgery in the spring. We're hoping to get him by the end of August, maybe early September to start, so that by the time we get in our conference, he might be up to full speed.
Last question here in the back. When do you anticipate making a decision on the starting quarterback?
As soon as one establishes that he's earned it. All of our quarterbacks know that the number one criteria they're going to have is who can take care of the football the best and who can lead our offense. And if you're making spectacular plays but you're turning the ball over, you're not going to be our guy. We've got to do a much better job of taking care of the football. I think we threw 21 or 23 interceptions last year. Defensively, we got to do a better job creating takeaways, but we can't give it away at that kind of a rate and expect to be a good football team. So hopefully, after the first couple of weeks, somebody separates, but it's, we'll let it play out. You can't just anoint somebody, because as soon as you do, somebody's going to outplay that guy.
And the situation with Ford is just day to day as to whether he's cleared?
Yeah, we're still waiting day to day. It looks right now that he's going to probably have to take an online class just to get his hours to where they need to be for percent of graduation.
So that could set him back 2 weeks?
To be determined. Right now, to be honest with you, they don't know just yet.
All right, let's let Coach go now.
Okay,
Thank you, Coach, and thank you, everybody, for coming out.
appreciate